You think tires are important at Chicagoland today?
I mean, just look at this. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 guys working on tires.
Green flag coming out.
Jimmy Johnson up there in the 48 car. We saw his crew working on the tires. He's up there trying his best to get a lap back. He's going to have to pass Matt Kenseth to do it. And we haven't seen many guys that could pass him today.
Tim Burton's also trying to get a lap back.
And Jimmy Johnson hasn't been that good on the get-go either.
No.
Tony Stewart drives on the inside of Johnson.
Carl Long and Casey Kane have returned to the track. Jeremy Mayfield guilty of speeding on pit road during that last round of pit stops. We watch the race. Let's go to Matt.
And back here in the garage area, Elliott Sadler. Now, first off, your team, you had a lot of conversations going back and forth about the tires.
Yeah, we hadn't had any tire problems today at all with Goodyear. I mean, our tires look good. And Todd, you know, we were concerned, but they were giving me good feedback that time. I don't know if I run over something, I had a failure. I told them I think we got a problem going in, a problem going down, but with this points chase, you don't want to take a chance coming in, losing a lap, and then nothing wrong with it. But finally blew out going down into turn one. I'm just glad I hit on the straightaway and not the turn. It's a lot better for us.
And you mentioned the pressure of the points chase. You lost one spot last week. Obviously, you didn't want to lose more this weekend.
Yeah, it's this is when it gets tough. It's July, it's hot. Coming up on 9 tough racetracks and races, and this is definitely a setback for us. But the Combos team, the M&M's team will fight back, and you know, we're not at this chase yet. We still want to hold our ground and make it to September. We'll try hard. We'll try to get them next week in New Hampshire.
Yes.
Thanks, Matt.
And you saw Tony Stewart go by the 25 car. Brian Vickers moves into the 3rd position. Biffle's gotten by the 29 car of Kevin Harvick, and he's moved into the 5th position.
Take a look at our Miller Lite track fact. Jimmy Johnson came to Chicagoland leading the championship standings last year and wound up 2nd in the race. The other championship leaders didn't fare as well in previous races. Jeff Gordon was 17th in 2001. Sterling Marlin wound up 16th in 2002. And Matt Kenseth 12th in 2003. Our Miller Lite track fact. And right now the 48 of Jimmy Johnson runs 32nd. The first car a lap down. And here's one thing to think about. Elliott Sadler and Jimmy Johnson both. Stop and watch the race?
Go ahead, Al. I was watching the race.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Bill, to interrupt you.
That's okay.
That 25 car, if that 31 was there or not, it didn't matter. He had to go to the top of the racetrack.
And he got a little distance in between him and Biffle doing it.
But the difference right now between Johnson and Sadler is Johnson decided to stop and Elliott Sadler didn't.
Yeah. But Johnson could afford to stop because he had the lead. Elliott Sadler was back in position. He just couldn't afford to give up any points.
Well, like what he said, we talked about earlier, you don't want to make a mistake as a driver. You don't want to come in and have the tires change and nothing be wrong. Then you kick yourself in the butt for the rest of the year because of all those points you've given away. But on the other hand, you got to listen to what your butt says sometimes, because when you're driving these cars hard every lap, you're so in tune with those 4 tires on the racetrack. All of a sudden, you feel something different, then something's up.
Okay.
Something's trying to tell you something, and you need to tell your crew, and you need to come in.
Get an update on the 25 from Marty.
And Bill, just checking the 4 tires off Brian Vickers' car. They all look excellent. They have not had a problem all day long. They've had an excellent day on pit road. Brian very happy with the race car. And it's been a little bit loose, but his biggest problem is inside the car. He's been a little warm, wants ice bags and water every time. But chassis-wise, handling-wise, the car has been excellent. Poised to get his first ever win. Running in the 5th position right now.
There we see him 2.9 seconds behind Matt Kenseth.
A car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. is making his way up to the front.
About that, going by Kurt Busch, trying to. Kurt in the 97, the black car on the outside, Junior in the 8. Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace.
These guys just quietly been working on their car all day long, and making it better and better.
Right, and the 8 and the 6 and 2, the longer it's green, the better they get.
And you know, Mark Martin has announced that this is going to be his last year racing. And then they announced this week, Roush announced that they have signed Jamie McMurray to drive the 6 car in 2007. Well, guess what?
There's nobody to drive it in 2006.
They're putting a lot of pressure on Mark Martin to drive it in 2006.
Mark is not going to want to do that. And I know Mark, and I don't think he's going to be real happy with that. Matt?
Wally, Mark was one of 19 drivers pulling double duty this weekend running Saturday's Busch race. He told me that he could sit back at his motor coach, watch the race on TV, and learn about 90%, but the 10%, which is so vital, is what you learn behind the wheel about the tires. Now, 2 stops ago, Mark said, you know what? Let's try the air pressure settings we used in the Busch car yesterday. See if that helps our balance issue. Mark feels pretty confident about how the car is running now, but using what he learned Saturday, trying to make it the big picture on Sunday.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr., another guy trying to make a move here today. Jr. with the top 5 last week at Daytona, currently running 8th in that 8 car. And he thinks you might have got a little momentum coming out of Daytona.
It's a little fun to get some footing, get some gears, and see what you can do. Obviously, again, it's Daytona. We got to be realistic. That's kind of how we expect to run when we go there. And it's not like anything we learn there we can adapt to this race or any other race from here on out. So, you know, we'll just see what happens. You know, we've got a great attitude. I couldn't ask for my guys to have a better attitude about what's going on and where we are and what we need to do. And that's the best thing. As long as I don't, you know, nobody has to get the whip out to get us going. You know, we're ready to go.
Well, Casey Kane bringing out the caution. He goes to the garage. Jimmy Johnson is the lucky dog.
Wow, what a break.
He will come around and be back on the lead lap.
And has a car capable of working his way back up, possibly in the top 15, maybe even the top 10.
Got 84 laps to do it.
Yep. What did it take Tony Stewart, about 100 laps to get up in the top 5?
About that.
So, Jimmy, you did good coming in and changing that tire when you felt something wrong.
Because what did he do?
He listened to his butt.
There'll be T-shirts next week when we get to New Hampshire.
You know, I got a question we need for Matt to check on. The 44 car, remember we reported he had gone into the garage area before? He has been coming in and out of pit road. Is he scuffing tires?
I was wondering about that. We'll check on that, but I saw that, and I wondered if they might be working on that.
He just might be scuffing tires for all those Henry cars because, as Wally told you, put a few laps on the tire and let them cool a little bit. That seems to harden them up just a little bit.
And let's not overlook our leader again, Matt Kenseth. We talked about coming in this season. He'd led 112 laps all year up to this point. Today he's led 114 laps. And I like what you were saying about Robbie Reiser. He believes they're a chase team.
He believes it. We laughed at him, but he believes it.
They're all coming from third on back.
Okay, here comes the mad rush.
Robbie Reiser is...
And Matt stayed out.
Yeah, he did.
Wow. Oh, Stewart stayed out, too.
Wow.
Right at the last second, Tony turned back on the racetrack.
So the 17, the 20 stay out. Let's check on Biffle with Marty.
Well, Bill, there wasn't a whole lot of debate for Greg Biffle. Very happy with the car. At first, he said, let's leave it alone. Don't make any changes. He said, you know what? It was a little bit tight at the end of that run. Let's change the air pressure in the right front tire. That is it. Alan?
Look for a 2-tire stop for Kyle Busch. A last-second call to bring him onto the pits. There he goes.
41 car of Casey Mears, and again, track bar adjustment, very tight race car, but it started out a little bit loose, so they had to, they actually got it the way they wanted it. Casey just had to start living with it. They'll make another track bar adjustment to try to help it.
This is where the strategy thing we talked about at the beginning starts to play in. This time of the race, this is when they're going to start trying some things out, staying out, maybe a couple of tires. Obviously, the 2 front guys, they like that track position.
It's what you talked about at the beginning of the day. On board with Tony Stewart. I'm going to pit road. Come on, boys. I'm going to pit road. I'm following him. No, I'm not going to pit road. So Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth stay out under caution here in Chicago.